for example, like this old lady and this elderly man that were singing in extremely dark voices, not even really speaking, but just noises. And this sounded incredible. Like I've never heard something like this.
Buenos dias, buenas tardes, buenas noches, and welcome to the Hispanophiles podcast, Travel in Spain with only half a brain. The only podcast that has 100% reggaeton in its Spotify Wrapped every single goddamn year. On today's episode, we are celebrating the little things. That's right, we are three foreigners who've lived in Spain a long time, and today we are casting light over the little things that the Spanish are better at than anybody else in the world in a game of what else are the Spanish world champions at? But first, we need to say hello to our other guest hosts of the episode. To my right, I've got the ruling monarch of Technolandia. It's Jessica.
Hello. I'm super happy to be here again and excited for this episode.
And we also have one of the hardest spitters on Barcelona's underground grime scene. It's Silvano.
Oh, yo. I am the half of the brain of this organization. How are you doing, guys?
Very well, thank you. Silvano, I've got a proposition for you. We're both fans of hip-hop. How about we form a rap duo singing only in Catalan, and we call ourselves Barcelona?
Oh, huh?
Yeah, Barcelona, huh?
Yeah, I'm definitely in. My Catalan. It's not what it's supposed to be, but nowadays most of the rap songs are mumble rap anyway, so no one knows it's Catalan or whatever.
I think we've just got a record deal, haven't we?
There you go. Barcelona.
Hello.
How was Valentine's Day?
I'm honestly thinking about getting a cat.
No.
But that's a good idea. Cats are beautiful. They're way better than humans.
And they will be with you for Valentine's.
But if you celebrate love, you should celebrate it every day. It's my opinion. Not only one day per year. So,
Yeah, but do you have love?
of course, we all have every day.
Okay, but Valentine's
to
Day is for the
celebrate it.
lovely love. And, we're already 2 months into the year right now, and I think it's about time.
Yeah, but you can celebrate love whenever you want. in my
That's great. That's sound.
Anyway, should we move on to our regular segments?
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we start with a news story, Silvano?
Yeah. So I want to hear your thoughts on this. So Spain has a new regulation where they are asking more and more information of their tourists/visitors. So you need to leave your email address, phone number, etc. when you want to rent a car or book a hotel. And they need to keep that information for 3 years for safety and anti-crime reasons. If ever they have a lead on something, they will still have that information on the people who stayed in Airbnb or, for instance, rented a car. So that's a lot of hassle and apparently a lot more paperwork for the people booking and obviously for the people renting out their respective territories or whatever. So it's going to be a bit more of a hassle. However, we talked about this before, and I think Spain is way overpopulated with tourists. So hopefully we'll have less tourists when this law gets accepted.
Let's mull over a couple of points. So, is this when you make a booking for a car or accommodation, you have to provide all this email up front, explicitly?
From what I understand is that they will need to have that information by the time that you check in. So you can either do it online beforehand, that would make it easier, of course, or upon arrival.
So you, as the paying tourist, you can't get what you're paying for without supplying this information.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's the new rule, the new law.
If this is not abided by, who is punished? The tourist or the the car hire
This
operator?
is what I was asking myself also.
What I'm reading is that the tourist is punished because they need to put in more effort to get to where they're going. And obviously for the people that are renting out their car or their hotel room, for that they're also being punished for more paperwork and also way more administration and also saving all of that stuff and keeping it safe. And you can get a fine from €100 up to €30,000 if you don't comply.
Wow.
And Spain is super harsh with fines. I remember during COVID, years ago, it was when they say they fine, they really fine. And it's high values. So the thing is, like, I'm wondering, Spain is a nation in general that lives from tourism. So
Yes.
I'm really wondering how this will go if tourists need to do much more in advance, let's say, or provide much more information. Plus the agencies, the rental companies, and so on and so forth. I'm not sure if this is like good for the country's economy, to be honest. But let's see, because I also think that's overcrowded by tourists.
I will say the reasons that people come to Spain aren't going to be changed by this.
Yeah,
The food's going to be
that's
great,
true.
the festivals,
Agreed.
the Camino de Santiago.
Yes.
So that is something that I don't think is going to be affected particularly.
James, you're a native English speaker. Why do they call it a fine? Because if there's anything that's not fine, it's a fine.
That is a very good point, Silvano. I shall consider it.
No, I don't know why. I don't know why. But I was
The Spanish for fine is
multa.
nailed it. So presumably if someone's visiting me and I host them, I don't have to do paperwork if they're just staying with me, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's
Okay.
only for paying tourists.
Okay.
Yeah, only for people paying for, because obviously you, let's say, well, if you rent it out, like Airbnb, for instance, then you actually need to get that information, or
Okay.
Airbnb needs to get that information. But you will be the one providing that information, because not an employee of Airbnb is going to reach out to your guests, right? So
Yes. Okay.
again, I'm not really sure how it all would work out in the end and how strict they will be, but I thought this was newsworthy, and
Yes.
especially because it's February now, and it's almost in place.
Yeah. It's 2 months and then we're going to have loads of tourists,
True.
guys.
Yeah.
I will say, probably with regards to tackling money laundering, I can see having more paperwork,
Yeah.
more clarity, and more documentation with regards to IDs put forward when you're making a reservation could be a good thing. But if you're trying to tackle, for example, organized crime syndicates crossing over the border into Spain to, let's say, evade the Russian authorities, Russia, a completely randomly selected country in this instance, mobsters and high-level mafia people have got contacts everywhere. So they're just going to come stay with people who either they have on the payroll or they've already got
But
people living here, right?
let's say money laundering, you have like an empty motel or an empty hotel, but they will then just pretend that it was full of guests so they can launder that money.
Yeah.
But then you also need to provide all that information of these people, and if they just run by 200 non-existents, then there's a red flag, and then they can investigate. So in that way, I understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do miss the good old days. You can just walk into a motel, give cash, just go in there, go away, no passport, nothing. Just to be a little bit anonymous is good sometimes.
Hell yeah.
I'm really curious how this will work out for all the places that supplant their rooms, their flats, their whatever. It's not even something illegal or harmful, whatever, but I know a lot of people that when they leave, for example, to go on holidays, they supplant their room and they do it via platforms like Airbnb, Badi, like all those platforms that are available, basically. So I'm really curious how fast and how secure this will all be.
Yeah. But that's the thing. This episode is about what Spain world class at, and one of those
Yeah.
things is bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And they're getting better.
Yeah, it's getting there.
We all agree on that one, no doubt. So, a fantastic news story. Thank you very much, Silvano. Moving on to our new piece of Spanish vocabulary of the week. 2 new pieces of vocabulary I've learned fairly recently. One, desmayarse.
Desmayarse.
Desmayarse, a reflexive verb. So this is something that's done to yourself. I'll give you a clue. It's a bodily function, but not a pleasant one. Desmayarse.
And can you use it in a sentence?
Throwing up.
Not far away, but kind of more extreme in a sense.
Okay. Inconstipation. That would be inconstipado. I know it's not.
Not in constipation, no. Something if you are in shock might happen.
Okay. I have no. Oh, a coma.
Faint.
Oh, you
To faint.
faint.
Desmayarse, yes.
Yo desmayarse.
Me
Me
desmayé.
desmayarse.
Me desmayé.
Me
Me
desmayé.
desmayé.
Okay, sounds like an expensive wine. But okay.
Yeah, it's
When you see the price, that's what
I'll
happens
have
to
the
you.
92. Me desmayé, yeah.
interesting. I didn't know this
I
one.
was reading a book about the horrible communist regime in Cambodia in the 70s, and the torture was very thoroughly detailed, and I learned the verb to faint, because that's what would happen to some people. So
Oh, yeah.
Wow,
So let's get
great
deeper into this.
vocab.
Another-
Nice
another
word.
piece I learned recently is un chaleco reflectante.
Chaleco.
Un chaleco. So reflectante, you can probably work out what that means. So chaleco goes before it.
I think I've never heard this before.
Sounds better when you have a Mexican accent.
Yeah.
Un chaleco reflectante. What we in the UK call a high-vis jacket. A
Yeah.
sort of like vest that doesn't close, that's bright yellow or orange.
Like
that people wear
the
on a
people that
building
make
site.
airplanes land.
Correct.
Ah, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Or like the people that help school children cross the road.
Mm.
But it also sounds like a pork chop. But yeah, okay.
A pork chop covered in glitter or something.
Yeah,
if it's
yeah.
going to Sound It Festival.
It's a
or-
highly
That
visible
is-
pork chop.
Fantastic. Shall we move on to the main talking point of the episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
And we are asking ourselves, what else are the Spanish world champion at? So, to fill you in, listeners, Each of us has picked 3 things that, after living in this country for years and years, we have noticed that the Spanish are remarkably good at. Who would like to begin?
Well, I would like to start off by saying that some of these topics have a reasonable overlap. And I want to start by saying that one of the ones that I had, James, that you disallowed was colonialism.
Okay.
And I'm from the Netherlands, so I know a thing or two about colonialism. But we're not going to do that because we're going to keep it light and happy. So, Jessica, would you like to start?
Yeah, I can start. So I start with one thing that for me, coming from Germany, was very weird. It was very rare. I've never seen this before. So Spain is extremely good at keeping their streets and cities clean. And
You've been to Raval.
well, let's say mostly, because what they do, and this I see that every day, every week, it happens all the time, that a lot of people in many, many streets, in especially bigger cities in Spain, clean the streets and the sidewalks with water, even sometimes with like washing powder. I don't know what that is. Like there is a lot of foam, and then I was wondering why they do that, and especially in times when water is limited, like let's say supply is limited. For sure, like they want to keep their cities clean, and as there is a lot of heat, a lot of dust, they try to wash this away for hygienic reasons, for aesthetic reasons, that it looks nice, that it looks clean. Again, now we're speaking about the topic of tourists, but it is important for the country. So tourists come into a city, and especially, as mentioned, the bigger towns in the country, that it looks clean, that smells good, because this is another factor that, especially in summer when it's super hot, there's so much dust and there's trash everywhere. Let's say a lot, because there's a lot of people in the city. They need to clean it all the time. So that's how they make sure that their culture is preserved, in terms of they show to the outside world that Spain is a good country to visit. Yeah.
I agree. I agree 100%. And you remember, obviously, we're based in Barcelona. You remember that at some point, the people who were against the tourists being here, they said that they were like using squirt guns to spray the tourists. That's not true. They just were trying to help clean the streets, you know?
Exactly.
Yes, help clean the street. But yeah, I live in Raval, which is the neighborhood in Barcelona, which is often presented as the most dirty. It's true.
But you see that they're happening as well, like
Every single day.
Yeah.
And even at night,
Mhm.
between 3 and 4, it's a very heavy sounding truck coming by, spraying, cleaning the streets, which is nice. But it is necessary where I live, because literally, even if they would do it 3 times a day, it would still not be enough. And obviously, that's not something you do. But I like it. The nicer neighborhoods are very nice and clean. But world class, I mean, Singapore, Malaysia.
But like I've never seen this before, and for sure Spain, or let's say Barcelona, because I can witness for the last years, it's for sure cleaner than many cities in Germany that aren't that hot, dusty, and so on and so forth. So
I see. Yeah.
yeah,
I agree. I really like it. And they're nice people. And Spain is the only country where I see people who clean the streets, where 9 out of 10 are also very attractive people.
I was going to make this point.
It is true. Isn't it?
It's true.
And it's not a very flattering,
Not a glamorous job.
jumpsuit.
Yes.
It's not a very, no, the jumpsuit is also not the most pretty to walk around in. But I'm like, okay. And then, you walk by and then boom, you get sprayed all wet. Like, oh, sorry. I'm like, that's fine.
Guess got to
That's
take my t-shirt off
fine.
now, haven't I? Yeah. You must squirt me, woman.
So even only for that reason, I'll already be happy that they'll be walking the streets all the time. Yeah.
They usually work in about teams of 4, I think. There's 4 of them sweeping and 1 person with the hose.
Yeah,
I
and one
think this
driving
depends
car.
on the neighborhood also, because for example, as I mentioned, like in Gracia, for example, where we have super narrow, tiny streets, there's a smaller car. So I imagine, like when you live next to a bigger street, for sure there's this big trucks, and there might be more people.
And they're normally kind of like, a lot of them are young people, aren't they, who do it? So,
but also they have odd working hours, for instance, because they do it 24/7. I mean, and they pay really well as well. They really take care of their people who work on keeping the city safe and clean.
Good.
So that's good.
Well done, Spain.
Yeah.
Putting the money into that doing so. And I would say those sort of people, as Silvano pointed out, it's not a particularly glamorous job. I'm sure they'd rather be hosts of Spain's best travel podcast. But I want to honour them with a small round of applause for doing an amazing job keeping Barcelona and Spain clean.
Gracias.
Fantastic. Shall I go next?
Yes, please.
Okay. continuing with a professional topic. Again, we're all corporate people. We work in big organisations. I won't say which one on this podcast.
Don't spoil.
But we know Office Spain, and we see what we do. And I used to work for a very major company in Germany as well, which you both will know. I won't say it either because them. And I had a Catalan colleague when I was 20 years old. And he, every day after lunch, would brush his teeth in the office. And one day he said, James, it's so weird. The Germans keep looking at me like I'm weird for doing it. And I said, I think that's weird. Bringing personal grooming products to your office to clean yourself. I know they say brush your teeth 3 times a day, but that's why I propose. The Spanish are the best in the world at oral hygiene.
Yeah, I agree.
An interesting fact.
Do you guys see your colleagues brushing their teeth at work?
Yeah, but the thing is, for some weird reason, I used to work in Dublin with Spanish people, and that was way more. But also, the thing is, I haven't been in the office for such a long time and so often anymore that you don't really notice because now everyone's working from home, so obviously you don't see. But normally, in general, yes, 100%, yeah.
I would say in general, not only talking about oral hygiene, but in general hygiene and looking well, looking clean. Spanish people are quite good at this, and they put a lot of emphasis on it. So, for example, in my office, people don't even only brush their teeth. No, they bring makeup, they shower there. So you see a lot of people doing sports as well, because for Spanish people, it's super important to keep their body in shape, to keep their looks in shape, even when you're older. So in my office, for example, you see all those things all the time, not even only brushing teeth, but as well, putting the makeup fresh, washing your hair, changing your clothes. There's people that change their clothes 3 times per day.
During
It's
work in the
incredible.
office, wow.
So, yeah. So for me, I do the same. So for me, it's nothing. For me, it's nothing so special. But
Oh my God, I need to rush to the office today. I only brought 2 outfits.
But I would say Spanish people in general, they take a lot of...
They clean everything. It's basically what you keep saying.
Exactly.
Yeah, because you're a little bit of a neat freak yourself.
Yeah.
So it goes back.
That's why I understand. That's why I live here, because it fits perfect.
Yeah. That also goes back to a good work-life balance in general, right?
Yeah.
Silvano, what have you got for us?
Well, I kind of touched base upon it already. It's kind of work-life balance related, because as you said, there's a really different working culture for each country. And Spain, obviously, for instance, having a beer for lunch. The French have a wine for lunch, But I see a lot of construction workers before I go to work in the morning having a morning beer.
So,
But apparently that's also accepted. So that's a good work-life balance. And then also being able to have lunch, which is already a long lunch, and then have a siesta afterwards as well. Obviously, you make up for the time later. But people seem a little bit more relaxed here than, for instance, in the Netherlands where I'm from. I think they're very, very calm down. The stereotype is mañana, mañana. That's true, but it makes them happy and it makes us a little bit more frustrated because I'm waiting for a new part for my sink, which is exploded, and I'm 4 days without water. So,
and that's if you want to brush your teeth, you have to go to the office. Therefore, if you can't,
exactly.
But I just think that Spanish people don't take everything so serious. If you say in the Netherlands, it's the same in Germany. People take everything so serious. So for sure, things are done in time, but you see a lot of more burnouts. You see people not being able to have any work-life balance. So I'm always wondering, since I moved to Spain, actually, isn't it better to take things a little bit less serious? And if you wait one more day, it's not going to kill anyone. So most of the cases.
Yeah, can't really be a heart surgeon. Say, I'll do it tomorrow.
Not all cases, but
yeah, I mean, maybe you have to skip a siesta every now and then if you have an important job. But I like siestas. Working from home, siesta is a bit more convenient as well. Yeah, it makes you happier,
Yeah.
It makes you more relaxed and calm and rested, especially.
I love the siestas. I try to do it every day, and it gives me so much energy after. And it's necessary for staying up late, which is also essential in Spain, which I talk about later. I never did it before moving to Spain, so this was completely something new, but I'm all in. I never want to leave this.
We did the siesta episode, the siesta special last month, which you guys definitely listened to.
Yeah.
The World Health Organization advocates 7 hours sleep per day. The Spanish get 7.1.
Yeah.
And the Spanish have
That's the siesta.
the highest life expectancy in all of Europe, 83, I think, or 84, only topped by South Korea and Japan in the entire world.
Wow.
Yeah.
Part of that is diet, quite clearly. The Spanish eat very well. But also, I think less stress, sleeping well, and way lower rates of heart disease and diabetes, and in Spain, lower suicide rate as well. And, sleeping well and getting your work-life balance, which is what Silvano was pointing to, right, is something the Spaniards quite clearly have a lot to teach us.
Yeah.
Yes. And then you wake up after a nap and then the streets are clean again. And then you can pee again on the streets. It's a lovely circle of life.
We hope you're enjoying this episode. If you are, consider giving a like, writing a comment, following, subscribing, giving us a high rating, all that jazz. You don't have to, but it would help us out with the algorithm in the place where you listen to your podcasts. Thank you very much, and let's get back to the episode. Okay, so we shall continue. Jessica, what else are the Spanish world champions at?
So, there is one thing we cannot forget, and this is the Spanish partying. They are literally the best, and I would even say in the world, in terms of partying. In my experience, what Spain does, or what they have, and what makes it so special, is first how people are, how they make fun in all situations when they go out, let's say. Like, they always enjoy, they always have fun. If you compare to other countries, for example, you go to a party and then you just stand there and have a drink. And
you stand in the corner and you...
Yeah, exactly. We won't name any country names, but here people go out to really have fun, to dance, to meet people, to socialize. Spanish people do go out very late. So you need this siesta to be able to go out after, not even after 10, but after 2 p.m. People are on the street, people are going out. And it's not only clubs that I'm talking, it's also festivals, it's like big plaza parties.
Botellons outside.
Exactly. The variety of, when we speak about fiestas or partying, is so big. I've seen it many times in the south of Spain, that they are in a bar, they have their drink, and then someone starts singing, and everyone starts to dance on the table. And then there is big fiestas del barrios, where they celebrate in a specific area of a city, but it's huge. So there is not only like the normal going out, which is completely
like nightclub and drink.
Exactly.
More diverse than that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's very much more diverse than that.
And you'd say maybe in kind of taking what you're saying there and expanding it, the Spanish are very good at creating a party for different budgets, for different tastes, for different locations, times of years. You've got, as Silvano said, botellón. Do you want to explain what botellón is to maybe this?
Yeah, that's when everyone just gets their own bottle of drinks, preferably with a bag of ice. You put it in the middle of a square of a street, or in a street corner. You just all stand around your bags and alcohol bottles and soft drinks and ice, and you just have a laugh. People start singing, or you just keep talking to each other. And the Spanish are also number one in talking to each other. They talk so fast and so much, and they really love and enjoy that. Typically, a bit younger crowd from the legal drinking age, because obviously it's cheaper to buy a bottle in Mercadona, which is a bottle of gin for like €8, bag of ice for €2, and a soft drink for €1. And then you're basically set until midnight, and then at midnight, throw your stuff in the garbage, and then you go out and party until hopefully the sun comes up.
Yeah, botellón is a student phenomenon, a young person phenomenon. People who can't necessarily afford to go to specific cocktail bars or craft beer bars or whatever to drink. Meet up in each different town, generally speaking, will have one designated place for botellón. It isn't a legal practice. Like, you're not really allowed to drink in the streets in Spain. Exactly. But kind of the local police turn a blind eye, I think, to young kids, and they just let them do the thing.
That explains why I'm always the oldest guy at a botellón. Oh.
Botellons are so much fun. Like, you interact with so many people, you get to know so many people. So it's just, as James mentioned, not really legal.
But on the other end of the spectrum, the Spanish really can do incredibly lavish, glamorous events. Ibiza, the party capital of the world. You'll pay through your nose when you're there. And, Primavera Sound, some of the really big festivals in Spain are not cheap. You're going to pay to go, but they are incredibly well done. And the industry is the party industry is
It's huge.
outstanding.
Yeah. But if you want to be posh and if you want to spend some money in some night and dress well and put your high heels, I mean, me speaking as a woman, of course you guys don't. But
Well,
I mean,
let's
if
slow
you
down.
want
Let's not judge too
Slow
quickly.
down.
Hey?
if you want to, then of course also. But for sure, sometimes for some occasions, this is also perfectly fine. And then the other occasions, we do the botellón in the park and have our beer from the supermarket.
To a rock concert or something, and you dirty
Exactly.
Converse and jump around. Yeah.
But where the Spanish are really good at and what they make you feel you want to be part of is the involvement and the socializing. Like it's all related. It's not really the where you are or how it is, but it's like the dragging you into the moment basically. And this is what I find they're really good at, like really good, and I would say even worldwide.
Any wild, crazy stories partying that you want to share?
And there are so many, but I don't want to share.
Silvano?
Basically every Friday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday and Wednesday and I forgot Tuesday. When we live in a city that never sleeps, which is Barcelona. I really like to be social and go out with people, not just to a party or whatever. Just go to a terrace or to a bar, hang out and meet new people. So Barcelona is a great city for that. Spanish do it really well. They're really good at having a conversation. They really like speaking. They are elaborate. It's not like a German and Dutch. I'm going to say German and Dutch because to both of us, um, differently from the English, James, we are normally not as good conversationalists. Normally, when you ask me how was your day, it goes like, it was fine. How was yours? Whilst
Or
asking,
just good.
yeah, or asking a Spanish person,
Okay.
how was your day? You get the full layout,
get
and that's
everything.
that's nice, you know. Especially when you're a good listener instead of like talking yourself. Coming from people who are making a podcast, not very believable, but yeah.
I became aware recently of a new Spanish phenomenon called tardeo.
Ah,
Tarde, but tardeo, you've heard of this?
Yeah.
Please elaborate.
I hope it's this because the Tadeo is like the drink and the like kind of small tapa, like olivas or whatever that you take around 6, 7. And it's not really a dinner. And it's not really a pre-drink, but it's like a before. It's similar to France, the aperitivo, I would say.
My understanding of what tardeo was kind of what I guess in the Anglophone world that the kids now call like a day set.
So it's basically day drinking.
As Jess said, like 6, 7 p.m. post work.
Around this
A
time.
couple hours, the sun's still up, and it's not for dancing, it's not for loud music.
Exactly.
It's just being together in a group outside somewhere on a terrace, but the purpose is drinking.
Yeah, drinking.
But what I saw in, I think it was El País or La Vanguardia or something, food wasn't really part of it, though I might be wrong.
Small food, but very small food, like snacks.
And
Let's
bites,
say.
yeah.
Well,
Well,
like
but that's
small
what I do every day, all day. Go
Exactly.
outside, sit in the terrace, preferably in the sun, drink, and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so for me, it's not a tardeo, but more like an old deo. I went to a wedding in Cuenca last year. There I heard for the first time parquineo. Do you know what a parquineo is? That's like when the wedding or when the party is over, then you go to the parking, and then one of the people opens the car doors and then plays music, and then you just have drinks and dancing on the parking lot. So
That's cool.
parquineo, remember that name?
No, I never
Parquineo,
heard
yeah.
about it.
Parquineo, tardeo, and drink all deo.
Because you guys know me, I enjoy going for the DJ, for the musician, for the band. That's kind of my thing. I don't just go out to nightclubs for the sake of it anymore. One of my favourite nights out in Barcelona in Spain, I went to go see Chase and Status perform at Razzmatazz. Chase and Status, the biggest name
Dubstep.
in drum and bass dubstep, yeah.
Yeah.
It was a fight. It was so energetic, so loud. The
Yeah,
whole room was a mosh pit. It was unbelievably good.
No, because when I'm drunk, I have a lot of fun. But the problem is I always lose my things. And I would say the worst I've been was probably at the beginning when I moved to Barcelona because I underestimated the SP Chupitos bars. For our listeners, it's just shot bars basically. Chupitos bars in Spanish. And they sell a bunch of different shots that taste all super good. But as there's a lot of sugar inside, you get drunk extremely fast. So I was sleeping on the street. Someone need to carry me home. Horrible. But yeah, that's my advice to never underestimate the shots.
The
And I
Chupitos.
learned from it. What
You learn the
about
hard way.
you?
Okay, mine is a little bit disturbing. There's been a major blackout. So I was living in Dublin and I had a flight to Malaga. A friend of mine had a little place in a small town called Alaurín de la Torre, which is next to Malaga. It's a very small place. And I was just going to go there for 3 weeks and learn Spanish, meet the local people, hang out, and, try to be a cultured person. And at the airport, in front of my gate, there's the airport bar, and I could look at my gate. And what I normally do is I just wait until the queue clears up, and I just go into a plane. Happy days. So I drink at the airport bar, and this is something that I always wanted to do. I was drinking whiskey at the time, Jameson, as you do when you live in Ireland. And I said to the guy, as in the movies, keep him coming. So that means every time my small Jameson glass is empty, I put it away. And then without looking, the guy is just putting up a new glass because I felt like a movie star. Keep him coming. And the guy actually kept him coming. The flight had a delay, and I kept drinking. And I don't know how many I kept coming. I walked into the airplane with all of my favorite football jerseys. I bought new clothes for the trip. Went into the plane, fairly drunk, to the point where I started buying the perfume on the plane. I put the perfume in my inside pocket of my blazer. And then I realized, okay, I keep ordering whiskeys all the time. And I try to be charming to the flight attendant, which at some point I remember she was not really amused with me trying to be charming and funny all the time. And then the snap happens. That's when I blacked out. And this is why my memory stops. And then the first memory I have, so I'm inside a plane, probably halfway through the flight. And then the first memory I have, basically, I wake up.
Yeah.
I'm in the middle of a small village outside, in front of a police station, in front of a car. And I'm like, where's my backpack? Where's my jacket? And I looked at the car and I thought that I saw my suitcase in the car. I couldn't open the car and I was panicking.
Oh, God.
And I walked into the police station and I'm like, where's my bag? What's happening? But my Spanish was terrible at that point. And their English was terrible because apparently I was in Alorin. So that means if you land in Malaga, it's like a half-hour taxi. So imagine, from me buying a perfume to waking up, so that means I had to, depart the airplane,
Yeah.
go to passport control, go outside, get in a taxi, and then end up in the exact village where I needed to be. So I looked at my phone. Apparently, the apartment was 15-minute walk from there. So I did something kind of right. And I lost every single thing. I only had my phone, my wallet, my keys, and a terrible perfume.
That's heavy.
That was the biggest blackout I've ever had. Yeah.
But then the airline, they couldn't help you? Or...
I had no idea. No. Maybe someone just realized, like, oh, this suitcase has not been attended.
Oh,
for
he's
2 hours.
drunk. Let's take this.
Yeah, let's just take it. He doesn't know. Maybe people actually escorted me out of the airport.
Yeah.
When you black out, when I black out, I always have autopilot and make it home. But that's home. I mean, how do I make it?
Yeah, how do you make it?
Yeah. So the moral of the story here is never say to a bartender, keep him coming. They do it in the movies, but don't do it.
Shall we keep him coming?
Keep him going.
Yeah.
You guys know I am an avid consumer of going to games, being on the terrace with the fans. But sometimes when you go to a game, it does lack a little bit of magic, I think, that you do get when you're either in the pub watching on TV or, in front of your television or your computer screen, whatever. And that, for me, the Spanish football commentators are the best in the world. The Brazilians give them a good run for the money. The Brazilian commentators are also very, very good at imparting enthusiasm and passion in the way they speak. But honest to God, I love just sitting and watching any game, hearing the Spanish football commentators lose their shit about absolutely anything. And it's fantastic. This is the moment in the recording in which I will play a small sample that I have managed to get from somewhere, so you, listener, can hear what we're listening to as well.
Señoras y señores, va Modric, va, habilita a Vinicius, va Vinicius, vino para Benzema. ¡Gol!
Vamos a ver, 52 minutos, golpea Dani, gol.
Ahí está Alfon, Borja Iglesias, la devolución. Qué maravilla, fantasía, Alfon, gol. ¡Gol! ¡Doblete, Pablo Durán! Jugada.
¿Cómo puede Ruiz de Galarreta? Gol de Osasuna, gol de Lucas Torró, que quiere rematar el pie, gol.
participate in this discussion and this
Yes,
podcast
you can.
because I've never watched and I've never been to a game.
No,
So-
but this is
You've never
commentary
seen
on
one game?
TV. This is commentary on
No.
TV.
Yeah, but I've never watched it. I'm not really interested in football, but I hear people saying that. So I would agree with you, but I need to convince myself.
Yeah, but you just
as
listened
well.
to this audio and were you
I mean,
not like engaged?
this is crazy. Yeah, this
Yeah.
is crazy. I've never heard this before.
Yeah,
But in
now
life,
you want to change and you want to be a supporter.
now I want to be there and I want to listen to them because in life I've never been to a game. So in Spain and also not in any other country, to be honest. So I might have to do that at some point. Yeah.
I'll come with you to the brunch. Electronic
Yes.
special. If you
Yes,
come with me
soon.
to some crappy fifth tier
Okay,
football
yes.
game for a beer and we just have a beer in the
Do
sun
it.
and
This
whatever. So
is the
Right?
perfect.
Are we shaking on
way-
that?
We are shaking.
Oh, I
hands.
never thought I would live to see the day.
And
when
I'm the
Jessica
witness.
came with
Hands
me.
have been shaken.
Silvano's coming as well.
I'll only go to brunch, which is an outdoor electronic festival, and to a football match when the temperature suits me. But it's still
Just
February now. It's still very
True.
Yeah,
chilly.
like 2
True.
months.
I'll do
Yeah.
it from May on.
Yeah,
Then,
like 3 months.
But I will say, I think the football commentator's job is not to say what's going on. It is to impart that passion, to give it a bit of the operatic feel, the crescendos, the heavy lows, the drama,
Blind
You know.
people would disagree, though.
Blind people would disagree, yes. I can't
Pass
help
to the
them
left is very
particularly.
valuable information.
True, fair point. I think what I was getting at is I think everybody who watches a lot of football, a lot of our friends watch football, thinks they're an expert on the game. So most people don't listen to the commentator to pick up actual knowledge and advice and understanding about what's going on because they think they've got it sussed out, So the commentator is all about the drama, the enthusiasm, the
Energy,
wild passion. And I think the Spanish are way better than the British, the Dutch, and the German commentators combined.
Yeah.
Oh, especially the English, obviously, because you guys have a great competition and there's always loads going on and there's a lot of fireworks. The commentator doesn't really need to spice up games very often. So in that way, you guys are still very good. But in Spain, next level. I completely agree. My next one would be football in general.
Oh.
Obviously, the Spanish have had the best run ever, winning the Euros. Now they have a new young squad up and coming again. It's become a very physical sport, and I'm going to keep this short, Jessica, don't worry.
Don't you worry. Keep
Yeah,
going.
you have to have the lungs for someone who can run 15 kilometers per game. You have to be headstrong and big and all these things. Spanish people and Spanish football in general, they're proving different by having relatively short technical players instead of, and they can still beat them. And like all the young players that are coming up are very, very, very good.
You could say each different nationality, generally speaking, has its own football style, its own philosophy. What do you think are the characteristics that define the Spanish way of playing football?
Possession and runs without the ball and confidence.
Okay.
Everyone wants to have the ball. When you want the ball, you make sure you get the ball, you keep the ball, you don't lose the ball. And all these young players in Spain right now, Dani Olmo, Lamine Yamal, they're all 18, 19, 20 years old and they all want the ball. They literally come and pick the ball up and they have no fear. And that with their technical abilities to also keep the ball without being a really strong bloke holding it off while being technical. I think that's the DNA of Spain with great position play, obviously.
Definitely one, I think, thing the Spanish game lacks is that physicality, which you certainly see with the Premier League. You need your big, strong forwards and your big, strong centre-backs, I think, to make the game work. Spaniards don't really seem to breed that in their youth academy.
But you need to have big people as well. And Spanish people are quite small.
But the game doesn't depend on physicality, I think, in the same way.
Agreed.
But the Spanish, I don't know what it is, seem to play with so much more intellect and the idea of using space well. And, okay, I've got 3 defenders coming on to me, 3 people trying to mark me. Where's the space going to be? I know it's there, and I know my teammate's going to run into that space. I'll make a short pass. Oh, he is there. That is exactly how the Spanish played in the Euros, and they were the standout team, the only good team in the entire tournament.
Yeah, also very enjoyable to watch as well.
Yeah.
Like you see the joy. I think youthfulness helps a lot as well. They're having a lot of fun out there. That's fun. Yeah. And in the meantime, Jessica's on her phone on WhatsApp.
No, but there's things I'm interested in, there's things I'm not, and this is football. Unfortunately,
That's
but
okay.
for a lot of listeners, I'm sure that's very interesting. So good to hear.
Okay. Final round, we've got one more each. Jessica, what else are the Spanish world champions at?
Yeah, so the last thing I want to mention here is how Spanish people celebrate their public holidays, because Spanish people take it very serious. So I've been living in other countries in Europe, and it's not comparable to how Spanish people celebrate when they have their days off from work. So that can be either a bit of relax and self-care. You go to some nice city close by to visit another town, or it can be like really big celebrations that Spain is in general super good at. There's a lot of public holiday celebrations that are worldwide known. And I've been speaking about this in another episode of this podcast before. For example, the Fallas in Valencia, which is like weeks long of celebrations. They make it basically a huge celebration. It's the Semana Santa.
Yeah.
That is a big thing all over Spain, that where you can see hordes of people in costumes. And of course, when we have a day off, we have a day off. No one cares about work on that day. And I love this about Spain, really. They make a huge thing out of it, and they make a huge thing out of celebrating their culture. And I always like when people ask me what I love about Spain, this is included for sure. They put so much emphasis on this kind of things. Even, for example, when we think about smaller barrio with own festivals, I had friends visiting this year, for example, and I told them, check out the Fiestas de Gracia. And they told me they've never seen something like this. So this is super special and it's super individual for Spain. I don't know where else you find this. Where, again, and this concludes basically everything we said before, it's not only what they put as an effort, like in terms of costumes, in terms of what they present, music is there, artists, art, all of these things. No, it's also the energy you feel from the people that are there.
You know where they also celebrate all together in a really fun way? Football matches.
I need to watch a game. Okay, I understood.
That was really beautiful, Jessica.
Yeah,
it was
it's
really,
very
really well
true.
said.
Yeah.
So not just the quantity of public holidays,
Mhm.
the quality
Yeah.
with which people put into them and get out of them as well.
Yeah, exactly.
I see.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be something crazy. Like it can also be, for example, last week we had a public holiday as well. But like whatever you do with it, you don't you really take your time
You
off.
don't waste it.
You don't waste it, exactly. You use it properly to recharge. And I think Spanish people are perfectly good at this. So
Very
yeah.
good.
A lot of other countries or people from other countries can take an example from this.
Yeah.
to be
The
honest.
US, the poverty of public holidays in the States is absurd. The Americans don't get any vacation time.
No relaxation.
14 days per
yeah.
year or something, or 10 days you can take.
It's
and
ridiculous.
what are your favourite public holidays, both of you, in Spain? Either so one thing, a lot of them are regional. The kind of the really big sort of Catholic holidays, they're all national, but then you've got regional ones as well, where, for
Sure.
example, Catalonia has this day off, but Andalusia doesn't, blah, 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 blah. What would your favourites be, do you reckon?
I'm already happy that most of them are extending your weekend. So, like either a Friday or a Monday. And if they're not extending your weekend, it's on a Thursday. So people extend their weekend anyway.
Do you know what that's called, that phenomenon? What
No.
the Spanish call it? Hacer puente.
Yeah.
Hacer puente?
Hacer puente, yeah.
Nice.
Taking the bridge.
That's what I like a
But that
lot.
proves Jessica's point. They make the
They
most
know.
out of the damn public
Yeah.
holidays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite would be San Jordi, but it's also Catalonian.
England.
Why? Because I find the tradition super nice. Plus, the city is very nice decorated, and there's a lot of flowers. I love flowers.
Have you gotten many roses?
Of course. But we won't speak about
How
this.
many roses have you gotten? Because in all fairness, I've gotten 0 books. For the people who don't know San Jordi, women get a rose and the man gets a book. So that's a tradition. And then you just exchange and you're happy. So let's play the numbers game. How many books have I gotten? 0. How many roses have I given? 2.
Oh,
Next year, I give you a
very lucky women.
because we spoke about Valentine's Day before because it just happened. And San Jordi is different because it gives like both sides something. Not big, but still it has a lot of meaning.
It's
So
also good because you already know what you're supposed to give and what you're supposed to get. So you
Yeah,
don't have to
exactly.
think about it.
and it's
How
not
many
super
books did
commercial.
you give? 0. Yeah, your face says 0. How many roses did you get, Jessica?
I mean, what I find really nice is that I sometimes, like every year actually, get roses from completely random people. Like, for example, my, okay, that's weird, but my nail studio, for example, they give women that they know roses and men that they know books.
Nice.
Or shops where I go to buy like groceries, for example. They give it like, I find it such a nice gesture.
However, though, San Jordi,
Mm-hmm.
1 rose, little bit fancier than normal, 10 euros.
Mm.
By the time midnight strikes, they can't get rid of those 10 euro roses. You can pick them up for 1 euro.
Yeah.
That happened to me
See?
a lot. I
Clever.
just bought a couple of them because they couldn't get rid of them. I'm like,
Interesting.
okay, oh, you have 4 left. How much for the 4? He said 5. I said 3. 350. I'm like, okay, so 350 for 4 roses. I'm like, okay. And I just gave them to random people on the street. So,
Yes.
yeah, but it's a rip-off. The thing is, buy your roses a week before. Nurture them. Decorate them yourself. And then put a little bit of cologne on the rose. And then you give it to the one that you like.
I'm sure that the roses you got, at least, like, even for a cheaper price, you gave it to the people, and I'm sure they were happy anyways. Like, it doesn't have to look perfectly fine, but it's a gesture.
Yeah, but if you want to go out, you have to carry the rose around all the time. It's a bit annoying.
Yeah. What's your favorite?
Las Fallas rocks.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah, that's
the coolest thing I've ever
It's the
seen in
coolest thing
Spain.
ever.
I mean, and I've seen
Yeah.
a lot, you know.
But
I was there for the penultimate weekend, and I was blown away how awesome that thing was.
crazy.
So absolutely loved it. And I would like to do an episode on Las Fallas, so I learn myself all about it, and we can do
We
an
should
episode.
go next year. To be honest,
we
we
should
should go.
totally go this year.
We
Jessica,
should go
yeah.
this. We
This
should
year,
go in
it's
one.
We should go
2025 February right
next month. I
We should
think
go next month.
we should
It's
totally go.
literally the best. Like, it's the best thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Loud,
Yeah.
noisy, exuberant, fun. You know,
Yeah,
people
it's so
hanging out,
much fun.
music, drinking. Expensive, but
yeah.
totally worth it.
It's really
totally
hard
worth
to describe if people ask you, so you need to go and experience it.
Yeah.
It's true.
There we go. Very good. Thank you much, Jessica. May I produce my final offering of the evening?
Yes.
The food that you can buy at motorway service stations. Stay with me in this one. In the UK, if you're driving from Bristol up to Newcastle, whatever, you stop a couple of times, you're going to get a KFC, a McDonald's, a Burger King, you know, a Costa Coffee or Pret a Manger if you're lucky.
If you're lucky.
Overpriced, crap processed stuff, smaller portions than you get normally because, you know, you have no other option. I spend a lot of time traveling through Spain. I love hopping on a bus 7 p.m. on a Friday and then through the night going wherever. We will always make a stop at some motorway service station. And you go in this big room, and I've had pork knuckle before in Spain.
Wow, that's very specific.
Freshly caught and kind of grilled fish, you know, sea bream, bass, whatever it may be. Very good paella, of course, you know. Chicharrones, which I adore. So many things that are made by the people who work there, and it's decent food. You get a portion of veg, you get some carbohydrates, some protein, maybe a little bit more expensive than you pay everywhere, but the food is good and it's enjoyable, you know?
That's the most important.
Yeah, it's real homemade food, basically. There's probably an abuela cooking somewhere in the back in their kitchen instead of just pre-packed stuff. I mean, in the Netherlands and Germany probably as well. You just have like the snacks that they make in the morning and they will keep warm until it's over, and then they fry the snacks again. That's it.
Yeah.
But no, the quality here is really, really good.
Yeah, literally packed sandwiches in a plastic bag.
They have them as well, though.
They have. I agree with you, James, that almost every year we go from Barcelona to Costa Brava by car.
Your family, no?
But also with friends. And we go to this festival there. It's quite nice. And we always stop at some motorway petrol station, basically. And what I love a lot is the freshly, for example, if you say there is fresh food or paella, I never really tried this because usually you have 10 minutes, 20 minutes if you do a break. But then you get like this super fresh fruits. And it's really good. Then there is freshly pressed orange juice everywhere, which is also not common in whole Europe. But in Germany, for example, where I'm from, it's not common at all. At all.
Gotcha.
So, yeah. This is something, I agree.
Talking about motorway restaurants, you just reminded me. I didn't think about this, but the people in Madrid, what they normally do in summer, a lot of them, they always go to Alicante. That's like a 5-hour drive. Madrid is too hot in summer. They always go there to spend their time there. And almost halfway through, there's like this motorway restaurant that is like huge on like barbecue grilled meat. And it's like, it has space for like 250 people. This is like when you do the 5-hour drive to Alicante, this is where you have lunch. Huge,
saying.
absolute restaurant with all the barbecue foods, and they have like the leg of jamon. They have all the cheeses. It's all locally produced. That's an awesome place. I will try to look up the name of that place and
Yeah,
share it in the link in the bio. But I don't. I
wanna
just
check it out.
remember having a great time. Luckily, I wasn't driving because after that big lunch, 2.5 hours more in the car, I took my car siesta.
Yeah.
Good man. I think we've come on to our final offering of the evening, Silvano. Let's make it a good one.
Yeah, we talked about this. It's kind of all related, right? So what Spain is very well known about is like work-life balance, very clean streets, partying, and good food and good music. So the folk style music here is the flamenco music.
Yes.
It's the type of music that you always love to listen to, but you don't very often put it on your Spotify, if that kind of makes sense. But that did make me fall in love with the guitar music, so that kind of got me into playing guitar. And it's a lot about percussion, passion, and the dresses and the beauty. I looked it up a little bit. Its origins come a little bit from North Africa, like Morocco and such, from the traveling community as well. And they say that there are some Indian influences because the styles are very similar. I don't know how that would have worked and how that all emerged into this melting pot of cultures within one style of music. But I do want to highlight it because obviously this episode is about what's the thing that Spanish do better than anyone in the world. Obviously, it has to be flamenco,
Yeah,
Paco de
yeah.
Lucia. So yeah, that was me.
If anybody wants an example of Silvano's guitar plucking skills, all you have to do is go to the theme music of this very podcast. He was the one who graced us. The first ever recording, we went to that studio and I was like, Sil, bring a guitar. Let's see what we can do. And you gave us 5-6 minutes, I think, and we just tried different things, and we took that and we made the theme music out of it. And
Hell yeah.
I was really impressed. I'll be honest, man. Honestly, I didn't know you could
Thank you.
you could play guitar well. So thank you very much for donating that to the podcast as well. So
The thing is, like, I've just been not really long ago, like 5 months ago, last year
In
with my
November.
family. Yeah, exactly. With my family in Andalusia, and we've been in Sevilla and watched a flamenco show because I wanted to show them. And it's crazy how people are singing there, if you can call it singing, because the guitar music, I like to listen to it. It's super relaxing. It has like this very interesting, different rhythm, I would
Structure
say,
as
a
well,
structure,
yeah.
exactly, than anything you would know. But the singing, and that's why when you mentioned that it comes from different cultures and it kind of mixed, you can hear it because there's so the styles of flamenco when they sing are so very different. I've seen, for example, like this old lady and this old elderly man that were singing in extremely dark voices, not even really speaking, but just noises. And this sounded incredible. Like I've never heard something like this. Super loud, like from another world. And then there were younger singers that were singing like really a song kinda. You could understand the lyrics, you could know what it is about. But it's so very different. And then they mixed everything up together. It was so interesting. True. No, very nice flamenco. I like it.
it is a topic I absolutely love. I want to write the English language book on flamenco one day to present it to the English speaking world. A couple of things to contribute to what you said about the history of it. It is synonymous with the Gitanos, and the Gitanos,
Yeah.
Gitano. The English translation is gypsy, but it is a complicated translation because the word gypsy in English carries a certain amount of cultural baggage,
That's
for
why I
right or
said
for wrong,
travelers,
probably
yeah.
for wrong, exactly, of certain behaviours that are often looked down upon, often unfairly. It's not for me to judge. That the baggage associated with gypsy doesn't exist in Spanish with the word Gitano. It is an ethnic group of Roma Sintis who have their origins, I think, in northern India. I don't know the full history. That's what I would like to learn about. Again, travelling through northern Africa from the Moors, hence the word Morocco. They have been a fundamental part of Spanish society and now the bloodline of the Spanish people for 1400 years, more or less now. An oppressed group post-reconquest of the Catholics, 1492 onwards, and very much so under Franco as well. So they've always been the marginalised communities in predominantly the south of Spain, living in caves, living on the outskirts of cities in Sevilla and these sort of places. And it was their music. Again, very little resources. Hence, all you need to play flamenco is a guitar, your heels, your palms, and a mouth. That's all you need to do. And it's very difficult to trace its history because a lot of these people didn't write many things down, and we don't have that much evidence of the evolution of what we call flamenco. It is believed that the word is a derivation of, I think, an Arabic term flamengo, which is something like a traveling artisan or something like that. But we don't have clear evidence of that. It's just one of the theories that I've read about historically. So
Nice.
yeah, I would love to do more research about flamenco and have an episode dedicated to flamenco one day, but we'll have to do for now. Guys, thank you so much for being part of this episode and for your contributions and for this discussion. Anything to add?
Have a great February, y'all.
Enjoy every day.
All about the vibes.
Yeah.
The vibes.
Seriously, guys, thank you very, very much for being part of this.
Thanks again, everyone.
And thank you as well for listening to Hispanophiles podcast, Travel in Spain with Only Half a Brain.
Yeah.
We'll see you on another episode soon. We're off to go do some parkingueo.
Parkineo.
See you guys. Presumably, this is something to money. What was that? Jessica's broke her phone, and this is definitely going to go in the edit.